We have our host, Congressperson, Representative Danny Davis, whose district the Broadview facility is in, and who will discuss the importance of why we are here today and why it's so important that we did what we have begun to do today. Congressman Davis.
Well, thank you very much. Based upon the need to know and the desire to speak, I'm pleased to be here in the 7th District, which I've had the good fortune to represent for a good period of time with Chuy Garcia. I say Chuy Garcia because we go back that far, but I didn't have to call him. I knew him before we were under. I knew him when he was a student, fighting for these same causes that we hear about today. But it's pleased to be here with all three of my colleagues, not only Representative Garcia, but Representative Ramirez and Representative Jackson. And we are here because of a recent foregoing change in the process and the policy of ICE relative to congressional oversight that we've been here before and did not get in. But we were here today and we did get in. And we were able to respond to calls from our constituents. We're able to respond to protesters who had been wanting themselves to get in to see what was taking place. We responded to the needs of our constituents who have called their office, of individuals who call, family members who call, and say, we don't know what's happening to our relatives when they get here. So I'm pleased that we decided to respond in the most proactive way that we could. And the moment that the court said you can come right in, you don't have to apply a week ahead or a month ahead or whatever. Walk right in because you are the representative of the people. And that's exactly why we are here. And that's exactly what we're doing. Chuy Garcia, we're about the oldest. So we've been doing it a good while. We'll keep doing it even when we're not in office because it's what we do. Chuy Garcia.
Thank you. I'm delighted to stand with my fellow members of Congress, Congressman Jackson and Congressman Ramirez. We were here 6 months ago where we were denied access to do the oversight that the law says we have every right to do. So after all of that obstruction, we're here to say that we were right then and that we are right today. Congressional oversight is not optional, it's the law. A federal court reaffirmed that what should have never been questioned, that the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the Department of Homeland Security cannot block members of Congress from inspecting facilities funded by the American taxpayer. When we came here in June, we were turned away by masked agents who refused to identify themselves and denied lawful entrance without explanation, without authority, and without accountability. Today, we re-exerted our right to do so. The denial happened before mass enforcement exploded across Illinois, before deportations were ramped up, and already brutal system was supercharged. Since then, reports have been described a surge in detention at this facility and raised serious concerns about conditions. We came here today for transparency. We came to see the conditions with our own eyes, and we came to ask questions directly. We came to ensure that people in government custody are treated with basic dignity and humanity. We came to examine concerns that went unanswered because oversight was blocked. It's a system designed to wear people down rather than process them humanely, and that's why we've had to rely on the courts. What we witness reflects a system that treats human beings as inventory. They call them bodies, and they call it removing them as fast as possible. When access is denied, accountability disappears, and abuses follow. The stakes could not be clearer. This is already the deadliest period on record for people in ICE custody. Lives have been lost under government supervision. Deaths that demand answers. Blocking oversight does not protect public safety. Detentions on this scale is inherently dehumanizing. It isolates people. It takes away control over their own lives. When they eat, when they sleep, when they can see their family or lawyers. And it turns human suffering into a business. And when no one is allowed to look inside, these conditions only worsen. That's why attempts to block congressional oversight are unacceptable and why the court was right to step in. This visit will not end our responsibility. We will follow up. We will be back and will demand answers. And where the law has been violated, we will insist on accountability. Oversight means consequences, not just reports. Transparency is not a threat to the government. Accountability is not optional, and no human dignity is negotiable. We will continue to show up, we will continue to ask hard questions, and we will continue to hold these people responsible because it is our responsibility. Thank you for being here today. Muy brevemente en español. Hoy, después de casi 6 meses de demoras y obstrucción por parte de la agencia del Departamento de Seguridad, tuvimos la oportunidad de hacer nuestro trabajo. ¿Por qué? Porque acudimos a la Corte Federal para reafirmar nuestro derecho, sin obstrucción de ningún burócrata o departamento. Cumplimos hoy con nuestro deber de examinar las condiciones de detención y el procesamiento de personas detenidas por el Servicio de Inmigración. El Tribunal Federal reafirmó que lo que siempre dijimos, la supervisión del Congreso es la ley. Esto ocurrió justo antes de que los ataques contra los inmigrantes explotaran en Illinois, antes de que se aceleraran las deportaciones, antes de que este sistema se llevara al extremo. Hoy vimos con nuestros propios ojos, cuando se bloquea la supervisión hay abusos. Por eso no es aceptable que se bloquee la supervisión del Congreso, y el Tribunal Federal hizo lo correcto al poner un alto. Esta visita no es la última. Vamos a regresar, vamos a cuestionar y vamos a seguir exigiendo transparencia y el rendimiento de cuentas. Supervisar no es solo hacer reportes, es exigir cuentas con quien hace las cosas mal. La transparencia no es una amenaza, rendir cuentas no es opcional y la dignidad humana no se negocia. Muchas gracias. Next, I would like to invite Representative Delia Ramirez, who is a member of the Committee on Homeland Security, to talk about why she's here and what we saw in her visit. Representative.
Thank you, Congressman. That's the skills. As Secretary Garcia. I'm Delia Ramirez, and I'm the Congresswoman of Illinois 3rd Congressional District. I'm also a member of Homeland Security Committee, the committee that is responsible for the oversight of the entire Department of Homeland Security. And that includes the Secretary, that includes Tom Homan, the border czar, in some cases, although he believes that no one, he's not accountable to anyone. And it certainly includes Gregory Medina, who we have seen terrorizing our communities for a number of weeks. We came here 6 months ago to do the job that we did today, and it is despicable that it took 6 months for us to finally get into what that is, a detention center. Not a processing center, a detention center. And it happened because of the oversight work, the litigation, and the community who came together to file lawsuits to ensure that the people inside had someone fighting for them. So I want to thank every single advocate, every local elected, and every family member who has been demanding accountability for the cruelty being perpetrated at Broadview Processing Center. You see, under Kristi Noem's leadership, ICE is spending billions of dollars in their unlawful, unaccountable, unconstitutional campaign of terror. Our neighbors across the country have been disappeared off the streets and placed in these processing centers and detention facilities. And more Americans have come to understand just how little dignity people in that center have. One of my constituents was just brought up. Emotionally trying to advocate for himself in a place that he knows may be a place that he's maybe 5, 6, 7 hours, but perhaps before he has an opportunity to get an attorney, he will quickly be pushed to some other place, a detention center in Texas or Michigan or Indiana. What we saw there, as you heard Congressman Garcia say, is exactly what we thought we were seeing. A center that is not created or should allow to have people have to stay there overnight. Imagine 150 people in a facility with 4 detention space cells, 3 bathrooms for 80 people, no privacy whatsoever. If it weren't for the lawsuits, they wouldn't have signs that say you have rights. If it weren't for the work that so many of us here are doing, they wouldn't have documents in both Spanish, English, and other languages. What we are clear is that our constituents are being taken and brought into the center to be in the kind of conditions that no one should have to live in. You see, there's no medical staff there. The ICE supervisor said that they're requesting that. But if someone is having an emergency, they will have to be sent to a hospital. That would require for them at intake to be able to determine that. But if not, if it's happening overnight, how many hours are people going without care? There is no staff to provide mental health assistance. But so many people coming through those doors are at the biggest breakdown of their life. They have been just taken from their family, and they may never see them again. What we walked into was a cold place of detention. And it is important for us to say that there's irrefutable evidence that ICE is holding our neighbors, including our children and pregnant women, in inhumane conditions in ICE facilities, where they're going without access to medication if they didn't bring their medication, without legal counsel because many of the people being taken don't have an attorney on retainer, or even without basic necessities. And we know since DHS's inception, immigration detention has been dehumanizing. DHS and ICE facilities have been unsafe, they've been inappropriate, and they've been inadequate. Too few people receive the necessary medical care they need, and in Broadview, there is no medical care available for them. Too many people die in detention, and we just saw someone from Illinois die in Michigan just last week. And too much happens in the shadows, which is why it's so important that we came to do oversight today. And you heard Congressman Garcia say it, and I'm going to say it again. We will be back. Because while there were only a few people in detention today, we know that Gregory Bavino and his cameras will attempt to continue to terrorize our communities. And we want to see what that center looks like when there are more people in that place. So in the season of life, I want to make sure that I end with saying this. We return to Broadview with a federal court order in hand to cast a light on DHS and to ensure DHS and Christy Nome are held accountable for the unconscionable actions we see in our communities and we see in theirs. Today's successful oversight visit to the ICE Processing Center at Broadview is proof that when we fight in the courts, when we fight in Congress, and in the streets for our constituents, we win. But we know there's so much more to be done. Our fulfilled demand to enter the facility is just the first step to accountability. And we will continue to come without announcement, without arrangement, because it is our responsibility as members of Congress. Let me end with saying this. As I look at the notes here, I have the authority to provide a waiver for my constituent when he's been taken. That authority was not allowed when I went into a detention center. Apparently the director downtown, Eric Lee, said that I could not have my constituents fill out a waiver form so that we can begin to do the work of constituency casework. Due process continues to be violated for the people that are taken to Broadview, and we will continue to come in here and we will continue to hold Christy Nome, Gregory Ravino, this Broadview Processing Center, and every detention facility accountable. I will be following up with Eric Lee, and I will make sure that my constituent in that detention right now gets the resources he needs to be able to be returned to his family. With that, I would like to now introduce to you one of our colleagues who came as well to this oversight visit, and I apologize. There's a lot there. We're human before we're Congress people. So I'm a little emotional today. But I'd like to now introduce to you my colleague, Congressman Jonathan Jackson.
Thank you so much. I would like to give a very special thank you to my colleagues, Congresswoman Dalia Ramirez, for her outstanding leadership on this issue of justice for detainees in the Department of Homeland Security. I'd like to thank Congressman Chuy Garcia for his long-time service and quivering voice for justice for all, and the Dean of our delegation, Congressman Danny Davis, for his continuing fight for justice. I'd like to share with you some of what I saw inside the facility. There were 3 Christmas trees in the front part, where there was administrators, very well decorated Christmas lights. People I assumed that paid on time and were jovial. Beyond that door, you can see the cold floor, you can see the concrete cells, the open toilet facilities with a sink above the commode, where people have to leave their bodies. The rooms are 20 feet, 15 feet, that 34 people are supposed to sit in. It has 12 seats that they said they had provided accommodations for people to sleep in. There were 4 rooms that we had seen. We saw 2 persons in detention. We were also able to see a solitary confinement holding cell. There was no medical facility on site, no medical personnel on site. So as they get ready to ramp up for this increasing aggravated assault on people's humanity and dignity, there were 4 storage bins full of people's personal belongings, from backpacks. Many of these sacks look to be something the size of a sack of potatoes of 20 pounds. I can feel in my soul, here in my own mind, that these were people that had been kidnapped, abducted, and they were shipped around. We were told that they could be sent up to 5 hours away or transferred out of this facility in the next 6 hours, anywhere from Indiana to Tennessee and Kansas, or being flown out of the Geary Airport en route to Texas. There was one young man there that I saw that could not speak English and very much frightened that this was something I wish I could unsee. And there was a sign in there that stood out in my mind that I can't erase. It says, "No aliens beyond this point." And we have to deal with the racial dynamics of this. Many of the employees in there are Black and Hispanic. season, there's a moral call that we're supposed to come around to at this time. Jesus acknowledged the foreigners. There are no aliens on planet Earth. When you call someone an alien, you can disassociate them from a level of humanity. And so even if you are working that, I appeal to the humanity that I pray is in some of those officers to do what's morally right. I understand you're getting a paycheck, but what you're doing is apprehensible in this holy season. It's disgusting that there are people there that are suffering. People being kidnapped off the streets of America. And it made me shudder to think of what our nation is becoming. I saw an autographed photo of Secretary Christy Nolan there. That's political propaganda. You're not supposed to use these facilities for political stages and backdrops. But this is further continuation of the indecency of this administration. And I would like to be affiliated, associated with all of my colleagues' comments. And I would also like to ask for the Secretary of Homeland Security to resign. She has passed out contracts to fringe that is illegal. We've begun to see the indecency. There are people there that are suffering. They say they are shipped out at 1 p.m., 6 p.m. And last point I'd like to make legally, there's no law library in there. And only because of the countless amount of lawsuits that have been filed, that now people get one hot meal a day. After countless amounts of lawsuits over these last 6 months of litigation, people now even get 2 sandwiches a day. After countless amounts of lawsuits, people are now able to take a shower every other day. What has happened here and what is happening across this country is alarming. And I hope more people wake up, come out, see the facility. We're going to continue to fight for the freedom of the press so that you have access to go into that facility. We have to go through more pat-downs and security checkpoints as members of Congress to go into this facility than we have to go through to get into the White House in Washington, D.C. It's wrong, and we need to turn this around immediately. And I would challenge members of the press not to use the word alien anymore. That's political language, it's biased, and it further dehumanizes someone. The scriptures in this holy season of Christmas tell us that people can be foreigners from a different land, but they have a right to be treated humanely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before I introduce the speaker, I just want to express my gratitude to the legal eagles and the sign of justice who made this visit possible as a result of the lawsuit. The ACLU, the MacArthur Justice Center, and the National Immigration Justice Center. And a critical partner in bringing this action about and this court decision is the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant Rights, who has played an instrumental part in how Illinois and people respond to injustice. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Artemio Arriola to say a few words about the law.
Thank you, Senator Artemio Arriola, from the Illinois Coalition for Immigrants and Refugee Rights. We will continue to work with our Congress in Illinois and her colleagues around the country to protect and reunify our families, but also to work in a long-term solution. And thank you for probably think a small thing about the alien, but for dignity and respect, this is great. We are human rights, right? And also the ICER members and our aliados will continue to denounce the violence happening in the community. We'll continue to denounce not only documented people, they go to everyone. And also, let me tell you, they told us they go to the worst of the world, but they get workers, they have people from the community, and they do destroy our neighborhoods. We will denounce it and demand it to stop deportations. And we will continue to do the process. I saw one family when they come today, they are checking because for a week she cannot leave. And she's Venezuelan, and her husband is Cuban, and they got 2 children in the car. And she's she almost passed. She was almost when she came to the car, because for a week she you know, and this is the process, you know, it's coming through the process, and they got the court in a year. Mi nombre es Artemio Arreola. Continuaremos trabajando con nuestros delegados congresionales de Illinois y con sus colegas a través del país para demandar protección a nuestras familias y también traer soluciones permanentes. Gracias al congresista Jackson, que menciona que continuarán quitando la palabra de alien, y correcto, no somos marcianos, demandamos dignidad y respeto como seres humanos. Los miembros de la coalición, las organizaciones, continuaremos demandando y denunciando la violencia que se vive en nuestras comunidades. Están destruyendo los vecindarios, no solamente por la destrucción a las familias, sino también por el daño económico. Les quiero decir que les seguiremos levantando la voz para denunciar caso por caso y proteger a las familias, para denunciar el alto a las deportaciones. Les queremos pedir a las familias que sigan llamando a la línea de ayuda para denunciar o deportar o reportar ICE en las comunidades o lo que sea necesario. We will continue to call the hotline for support our community. Thank you.
And last, but certainly not least, I want to introduce the representatives from the Resurrection Project. They have played a critical role. They have provided critical legal assistance and counsel to countless numbers of immigrant families across Illinois. And they will share some updates on the latest Christmas wave of terror that Greg Bovino came to personally deliver to Chicagoland last week. So without further ado, another partner in the struggle for justice, the Resurrection Project, get it.
Yes, good morning. My name is Ada Melon with the Resurrection Project. While today's tour was a positive step in oversight, it was only given because a court made them do this. And we remain concerned about what all of our detained community members are going through right now. It is very concerning that judge after judge says that mandatory detention is illegal and that folks must be given bond hearings, and yet EOIR will just write a memo saying they will not give bond hearings and subject everybody to mandatory detention. It is very concerning that the judges say folks cannot be arrested after a warrant without a warrant. And just last week, Baldino and his team came back to Chicago and arrested, from what we know, and abducted, from what we know, over 40 folks without judicial warrants. Immigrant justice organizations like TRP, our teams are working every day to try to reach as many community members with legal representation. This is a basic right, not a privilege. But right now, folks are taken from their work sites, families don't know where they're located, and then are moved across the country. Sometimes they'll be in Michigan, and then we have to find them again the very next day in Louisiana, and 2 days later, sometimes in Texas. How are people supposed to defend their rights if we cannot find them? These are not just cases to us. These are our neighbors, these are our families, these are our friends, people that we love. Right now, we should be getting ready for Christmas. Right now, we're worried about any day that Customs and Border Enforcement can come back. So, buenos días. Hoy fue un paso positivo para poder entrar al centro de detención y ver qué es lo que está pasando adentro de estos centros y que nuestros miembros de la comunidad están viviendo. Pero seguimos muy preocupados por todo lo que está sucediendo con las personas detenidas. A pesar de que varios jueces han dicho que tienen que darle una audiencia de fianza a las personas detenidas, siguen negando esas audiencias para la fianza. A pesar de que jueces dicen no pueden arrestar a individuos sin una orden judicial, apenas la semana pasada volvió inmigración, volvió la migra y arrestó a más de 40 personas sin ninguna orden judicial. Muchas veces tratamos de encontrar a personas detenidas para poder tener una consulta con un abogado. Y lo que pasa es que algún día están en Michigan, hacemos la cita y el siguiente día ya están en Louisiana, a lo mejor en 2 o 3 días están en Texas. Lo hacen con la intención de negar el derecho de poder tener un abogado y tener representación. Para las organizaciones que siguen trabajando día tras día buscando a nuestros vecinos y tratando de darle ayuda legal, estas personas no son simplemente individuos, son nuestros vecinos, son nuestros amigos, inclusive en muchos casos son nuestras propias familias. Seguimos muy preocupados de que pueda regresar el bovino y todo ese equipo simplemente para aterrorizar a nuestras comunidades.